Backed by leading scientists from the mainstream scientific community, Mr. Martell has appeared on many television and radio programs. Looking forward, Mr. Martell is preparing to conduct several groundbreaking international research expeditions. His goal is always to gain firsthand access to ancient Sumerian artifacts and other archaeological relics not currently accessible to you. By bringing worldwide attention to these hidden artifacts, Mr. Martell hopes to usher in a new era in the ancient astronaut theory. Jason Martell. Jason, always a pleasure. How are you?
Hi, George. Norrie. Wow, it's a pleasure to talk to you again.
Too long. We got to get you back more often, my friend.
Oh, thank you, sir.
One of the topics so dear to my heart, and a friend of mine out at the nighthawkzone.com, Bad Boy, I think he stays up all week when he knows you're on because the ancient astronaut theory is incredible. Tell me a little about what you've been doing, though, since you were last on with me December 2006, right?
I believe so. It's kind of been a while,
Yeah,
you know.
it has. What have you been doing in between?
Well, you know, keeping busy as usual. I've been fortunate enough to do a little bit of traveling, and I did speak in Brazil last year, about the ancient astronaut research. So, you know, I was trying to just stay on the cusp of the story of, you know, breaking news for things that happen, archaeological discoveries, things that we can tie in to get a clearer picture for using modern science and look at the ancient knowledge, the ancient evidence in a new light.
Well, I'm looking forward to this. And talking about breaking news,
yes.
Not too long ago, Japanese group of researchers from Kobe University said that they believe that there could be a planet X in the solar system. What do you think of that?
I think it's some very exciting news. You know, obviously, George, you and I have been going back and forth on this esoteric topic, the idea of another planet in our solar system. The modern science today would label it a 10th planet, meaning, you know, we have 9 planets, Pluto being 9th. There'd be a planet beyond Pluto. So it's very interesting that, once again, we have a resurgence in the scientific astronomical community for a focus to say, gentlemen, there is possibly another object in our solar system. So this, of course, raises the eyebrow of researchers like myself who, you know, for many reasons are interested in why would we even be looking for a planet in our solar system. But for a long time now, even since 1930 when Pluto was first discovered, we've been looking for a planet X. So it hasn't been an established astronomical norm yet, and it's great to see for researchers like myself and others who are interested in this topic that it is resurfacing again in the astronomical community.
You know, 5 years ago, I would say, Jason, the mere mention of a planet X in the solar system would have been scoffed at by most astronomers.
Sure.
I don't think the majority would do that anymore. What do you think?
Yes, well, you know, we've had, the thing is the reason why this topic has gotten so convoluted, and we'll explain to the listeners tonight why we're even talking about a planet X, but anyone who's followed this topic, ever since around 2004, this started to make headlines again, and it hadn't since the early 80s. We started to see things out in in our solar system beyond Pluto, where astronomers, for instance, found Xena or Quoar. And these are basically just large chunks of ice, very large chunks of ice, floating beyond Pluto, so large, in fact, that we can't classify them as a planet, but we call them planetoids. So there's been a debate to say, well, you know, you found these large chunks of ice. Is it a planet? Is it not? The point is that we're developing technology, astronomical infrared technology with our telescopes, so we're starting to get a clearer picture of what possibly could be out there. And ever since the early 80s, we've had information to suggest there is a planet X.
I've got Michael Cremo on as a guest, Jason, Wednesday night. His theory, of course, is that humankind, much older than what we think, millions of years older. So if I were to ask him an ancient astronaut question, he would talk about it in terms of ancient astronauts from this planet who went to the moon and probably elsewhere. You, on the other hand, and when we talk with Eric next hour, you believe ancient astronauts are those that also came here, right?
That is correct. Now, one of the very pivotal points of why, you know, a topic of Planet X is so interesting, at least for someone like myself, is most modern astronomers might not be aware that there's also ancient references, which we'll discuss tonight, for a Planet X, meaning we're using modern science and, astronomy to detect, hey, there's a planet that we're still undetected. We should, we should be able to find it. It turns out there's actual astronomical sources from ancient knowledge. Just like, for instance, the Mayans had very accurate astronomical data. Recently, in the movie Apocalypto by Mel Gibson, they portrayed how the Mayans, the priest, knew that the solar solstice was going to happen, and at that exact time, they tricked the people or showcased to the people that they had the power of controlling the sun. Well, in fact, the Sumerians, even well before the Mayans, also had amazing astronomical knowledge, which now we can prove, and part of that data includes another planet within our solar system.
Well, let's get into this then, this Planet X and the possibility. What do you think it is, first of all, Jason, this Planet X?
Well, George, here's another interesting thing, again, using modern science to confirm the ancient knowledge. A lot of the new research that we're starting to do, first of all, astronomers wouldn't even accept the idea that a planet could be on a highly elliptical orbit. Now, the ancient records from the Sumerian culture speak of a planet on a very highly elliptical orbit. And they, cite all the other planets in our solar system accurately, the color of the planets, the distance of the planets. So this mention of this additional body really starts to raise questions for, does it exist? And, we only discovered Pluto in 1930 using advanced mathematics and the telescope. And even then, there were what we call perturbations on the outer planets, meaning something is pulling the planets in a certain direction, but we can't account for what that large mass could be. So there's just all types of theories abound, and one of the most recent ones, which I thought was kind of interesting, is actually two. First of all, there was a gentleman by the name of Dr. Mueller over at Berkeley University, and he postulated that there's basically another failed sun, like most solar systems that have been imaged by Hubble.
A binary star system?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Have been shown, external solar systems imaged by Hubble have been shown to be binary, two suns. So then that raised the question, well, what if our solar system is binary, but our other sun, if you will, is a failed sun, what we call a brown dwarf? So Dr. Mueller at Berkeley postulated that there's another planet, which he called Nemesis, that orbits this failed sun billions of miles out. And in the process of its orbit around our failed sun, the second sun, it would dislodge comets and debris from something called the Oort cloud. It's like another asteroid belt way out on the perimeter of our solar system. And so he theorized that this Nemesis orbiting the brown dwarf, our failed sun, would dislodge comets and debris over millions of years, and this is what might have caused the asteroids or comets to strike Earth, causing the great dinosaur extinction. So there's many planetary models or hypotheses abound using modern science saying that it is possible that there could be another planet within our own solar system. So it makes it a very interesting, story, George, as we get into this, to show that the modern science is accurate. There is sufficient data to say, hey, there's another planet out there. We just haven't found it yet.
And there could be countless numbers of other planets in this solar system, Jason.
Yes, there could. Yes, there could. That's where kind of the data, from the 1980s, there was a gentleman by the name of Dr. Harrington that started to do plots using, astronomical telescopes. At the time, we had one called IRAS, the Infrared Astronomical Satellite, and he would, make star charts, plots, take images of the sky, and they would have to go through and chart which stars were already recognized and which ones could be possible new candidates. And so even since the early 80s, they've been trying to pinpoint candidates for which objects would possibly be a star that might be still within our own solar system. But it's a very hard thing to do, when we consider that, space is three-dimensional and there's a lot of space out there.
Sure. So this Planet X, Jason, could be responsible for a lot of calamities that occurred on this planet.
Yes, it could be, and for a lot of the anomalies that we see within our own solar system.
Okay, how about the Great Flood, the flood that we can, talk about Noah, for example? Might that have been caused by a Planet X getting too close to the planet?
Yes, it could. Now, that's where, again, the stories get very interesting because we have a crossover from modern and ancient knowledge. There is a Sumerian culture, today's modern-day Iraq, 6,000 years ago. We've heard of Mesopotamia, Babylon, but 6,000 years ago, Sumer, where today's modern-day Iraq is, first civilization shows up. And this civilization creates over 100 of the firsts